live and local. This is Fox 7 Austin News at Noon.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. The pastor who claimed he bought a cake with a homophobic slur written on it is now dropping his lawsuit against Whole Foods. In a statement released this morning, Jordan Brown apologized and said in part, quote, "The company did nothing wrong. I was wrong to pursue this matter and to use the media to perpetuate this story." Brown also apologized to the bakery associate and to the LGBT community for diverting issues away from real issues. Whole Foods is also issuing a statement today which said, quote, "We are pleased that the truth has come to light. Given Mr. Brown's apology and public admission that his story was a complete fabrication, we see no reason to move forward with our countersuit." Brown, an openly gay pastor of a small church, held a news conference last month and claimed he ordered a cake from the North Lamar Whole Foods that was supposed to say "Love Wins." Instead, he said the cake had a homophobic slur written on it and filed a lawsuit. Whole Foods called Brown's accusations fraudulent and released surveillance video from the day of the purchase when Brown picked up and purchased the cake, which seemed to disprove his claim. A man is dead after a shooting in North Austin this weekend. That happened around 4:30 yesterday morning on Fairfield Drive near North Lamar and 183. Austin police say an argument started between the victim and another man. That's when the suspect reportedly fired 2 shots, killing the victim. Police say the shooter drove away in a white Mazda and is described as a Hispanic man in his 20s or 30s. If you know anything about this incident, call Austin Police. Austin police have named the suspect in connection to the death of Junior Mohammed, better known by many around the University of Texas as the Wendy's guy. 38-year-old Nicholas Ray Eller was charged with aggravated assault last week. Police say Eller, who was already in the Travis County Jail on an unrelated charge, got into an altercation with Mohammed on April 8th. Mohammed was found injured on a bench near Runberg and Lamar. He was taken to the hospital where he died 3 days later. His death is now ruled a homicide. Mohammed was a beloved figure at UT for more than a decade because of his fun and outgoing personality. An Austin police officer is considered one of the nation's top cops after taking home an award from the National Association of Police Organizations. Fox 7's Spinetto has the details.
Hi, good afternoon to you. And Officer Carlos Lopez is one of 9 officers from across the country being recognized as the nation's top cop. Now, the ceremony was held in Washington, D.C. over the weekend. Officer Lopez was recognized for his bravery when a gunman walked into the Omni Hotel in downtown Austin last July. That's where 35-year-old Michael Holt opened fire, killing 60-year-old cab driver Conrado Contreras. Video released by APD shows Officer Lopez springing into action with his rifle. After an exchange of gunfire, he fired the fatal shot, killing Holt and preventing more deaths. Now, in addition to being recognized as one of the nation's top cops, Officer Lopez also received the Medal of Valor from the Austin Police Department for his actions that day.
I'm deeply appreciated with, my colleagues, especially when you get any type of award from your colleagues. I think it just makes you appreciate it that much more.
Now, in addition to recognizing the heroic actions of law enforcement officers, there was also a memorial for the heroic actions of the men and women who died on duty. At the 28th annual Candlelight Vigil, 252 peace officers were remembered and honored, including Huddle Police Sergeant Christopher Kelly, who was killed last June by a man he was trying to arrest. In Austin, Nick Spinetto, Fox 7 News.
More rain could be headed our way tonight, and it's not leaving anytime soon. Let's get a look at how our weather is shaping up with Zach. Zach.
All right, buckle up, get ready for a wild weather ride this week. Got a little preview of it over the weekend and got off to a cloudy, soggy, foggy start around here. Weather conditions are quickly improving with a warm front sliding on through, pushing the rain well off to our east. Now we're starting to see the clouds break apart. Could turn out to be a pretty nice afternoon featuring a little more sunshine, blue sky. Picked up about a ½ inch to 1 inch of rain the last 24 hours. More is on the way. Right now, blend of 60s and 70s, and if we do see a decent amount of sunshine, we're heading for the low 80s. The chances of redevelopment, very low, 20%. But we are tracking a Pacific system that's going to bring in a front tomorrow to really energize the atmosphere. That's when the rain chances will increase, along with the severe weather threat and the flooding threat. Don't miss that 7-day forecast coming up in just a few moments.
Homeowners in Leander are cleaning up after lightning struck their house and caused a fire. Neighbors who witnessed the incident say the house was covered in flames just a few minutes after lightning struck the home. The Leander Fire Department says they received a call on Saturday about a house fire on Tabernash Drive in the Savannah Ranch subdivision. Neighbors say they heard thunder and saw lightning at the same time. Meteorologists say that means the storm was directly over the neighborhood. After the lightning, smoke started rising from the roof of the home. Minutes later, the house was engulfed in flames. Fortunately, everyone was able to get out of the house safely.
Their house went up in flames so fast. I had no idea. It was at like 6 minutes from the time I took the first picture in my backyard to seeing just a little bit of smoke. 6 minutes later, it was just up in flames.
The fire caused roughly between $350 to $400,000 worth of damage. A fundraiser page has been set up for the family who lived in that home. We have a link to that page on 516NoonShow.com. The homeowners did have insurance, but neighbors are hoping to help with other expenses such as food, clothing, and temporary housing. Statewide, a team from the National Transportation Safety Board will be investigating the deadly Laredo charter bus crash. It happened on Saturday. The bus was on its way to a casino in Eagle Pass from the Rio Grande Valley. The crash killed 8 people and injured 44 others. Troopers say 7 of the victims died at the scene. 1 of them died at a Laredo hospital. Troopers believe the driver lost control of the bus, causing it to roll over. Most of the victims were elderly. Authorities say it was raining yesterday morning, but it's not clear if that was a factor in the crash. The U.S. Coast Guard suspends its search for a missing passenger from a Carnival Liberty cruise ship. After 20 hours of scanning more than 4,000 square miles off the coast of Texas, the Coast Guard called off the search for 33-year-old Samantha Broberg. Surveillance video from the cruise ship showed a woman falling overboard early Friday morning. Broberg was declared missing after crews conducted a search for all passengers aboard the ship. The Carnival Liberty left Galveston Thursday on a 4-day cruise to Mexico. In national news, the Supreme Court rules to send back the case of the Little Sisters of the Poor to the lower courts. The unanimous decision passes off the challenge by religious-affiliated employers to the Affordable Care Act's inclusion of contraception. The justices considered whether institutions like Little Sisters of the Poor can be exempt from having to pay for or indirectly allow birth control and other reproductive coverage in their health plans. It's been a continuous battle between the government and religious institutions since the health care law passed in 2010. The Obama administration is telling public schools to allow transgender students to use bathrooms matching their gender identity. But some states have already denounced the recommendation, including Texas. On Friday, the Department of Justice and the Department of Education sent school districts across the country a letter stating transgender students have full and equal access to both facilities and activities based on the gender they identify with. This includes bathrooms, locker rooms, and college dorms. The administration also said failing to follow these guidelines could result in federal lawsuits and the loss of millions of dollars in education funding. Governor Greg Abbott says the Constitution has been turned on its head and he's not going to stand for it.
Congress has taken up the vote on this transgender issue on several occasions and rejected it every single time. We have a president who decided, well, if Congress is not going to pass a law, he is going to impose the law. And so the president is turning the Constitution on its head, and that is why I fought back when the president did the very same thing with regard to the immigration law. Right. That's why we fought back when the president did the very same thing with the Obamacare law, and now he's trying to do it with regard to the transgender law. And so we're fighting back. We are demanding that the President and the United States hew to the line of the United States Constitution.
The White House is defending its action, saying the policy was in the works for years now, and a growing number of school administrations were reaching out for guidance on how to handle the transgender bathroom issue. Will gender politics shape the outcome of the 2016 presidential race? Both Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are struggling to find support among women and men respectfully. Meanwhile, GOP leaders are trying to hush rumors of a conservative revolt. Fox's Kristen Fisher has more from Washington.
Despite having the GOP nomination all but sewn up, a faction of establishment Republicans are still seeking alternative candidates. It's a move that RNC Chair Reince Priebus warns could be catastrophic.
Look, it's a suicide mission for our country, because what it means is that you're throwing down not just 8 years of the White House, but potentially 100 years on the Supreme Court.
Adding to Trump's PR woes among conservatives, a scathing New York Times article released over the weekend entitled "Crossing the Line: How Donald Trump Behaved with Women in Private." The article draws on interviews with former employees and girlfriends, drawing heavily on the recollections of one woman in particular, Roanne Brewer-Lane, who this morning came out and said that the Times manipulated her interview to paint Trump in a bad light.
I did not have a negative experience with Donald Trump. And I don't appreciate them making it look like that I was saying that it was a negative experience, because it was not.
Meanwhile, as much as Trump is perceived to have a woman problem, Hillary Clinton appears to have a man problem. According to recent polls, Clinton's popularity among men is even worse than Trump's popularity among women.
That's significant, because if you can lose women by 10, 12, 14 points as long as you're able to win men by 2 or 3 points more.
Over the weekend, there was a big dust-up at the Nevada Democratic Convention. Police had to be called in after Clinton and Sanders supporters got into it over the rules governing delegates. Proof that deep division still exists on both sides. In Washington, Kristen Fisher, Fox 7 News. Amanda, back to you.
Joe's Crab Shack is getting rid of its no-tipping policy at some of its restaurants. Since August, the seafood chain has been testing a no-tipping model at 18 of its more than 100 restaurants across the country. It's the first major restaurant chain to do so. Officials reported losing up to 10% of their customers during the test run. The menu prices at those locations did increase to cover labor costs. It will now go down. Many customers said they did not like the policy because it doesn't encourage good service. Only 4 locations are.
Boy, Amanda, by then, after all that rain, it's going to be warm and steamy Saturday and Sunday.
Ooh, well, have those umbrellas on standby.
Yes, there you go.
Zach, thank you. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.